Hands where we can see them. Now, shouted the agent through the loudspeaker, guns aimed straight at the small fishing boat. Benjamin slowly raised his calloused hands, his expression calm, eyes locked on the nervous officers jumping onto his vessel, trampling over his fishing gear. "Is there a problem, officers?" he asked softly. "Search everything," ordered the team leader. Benjamin stood still, feeling their suspicious stares as they tore through his belongings. What none of them could have guessed was that, within minutes, they'd all need to get off that boat. Fast. Let's dive into this story. Every morning, Benjamin Wilson walks down to the small dock near his home on the Florida coast. A simple wooden structure, painted white, though it used to be blue 2 decades ago. At 79, he follows the routine he chose for himself. As he sips his coffee, he checks over his fishing gear. Then he starts up the engine of his boat, a well-kept 1987 Sea Ray, with the name Mary painted on the side. To the neighbors, Benjamin is just a retired fisherman. Polite, but quiet. He doesn't own a cell phone. He doesn't have a computer. He doesn't watch TV. He's lived alone ever since Mary passed away 8 years ago. His only company are the seagulls that recognize him from afar and the fish that dance around his hook. That man chose silence, and silence chose him back. What Benjamin truly enjoys is fishing. Almost always in the same spot, where the water has just the right color to calm his soul, where for a few hours he can forget the weight of the memories he carries. And of course, it's also where the fish never fail to show up. That morning, Benjamin was just about to hook a mangrove snapper, one of the biggest he'd ever seen. That's when, out of nowhere, a Coast Guard ship pulled up so close that his small boat rocked hard from the waves. "Hands where we can see them, now!" shouted the agent through the loudspeaker. Guns aimed straight at the little fishing boat. Benjamin slowly raised his calloused hands, his expression calm, eyes fixed on the 3 nervous agents who jumped aboard and spread out, trampling over his fishing gear. All he could think about was the mangrove snapper that had just gotten away. "Is there a problem, officers?" he asked gently. "Search everything," ordered Petty Officer First Class Jones Smith. Benjamin stood still, feeling the suspicious stares as they tore through every inch of his boat. "Papers." Now, Benjamin slowly pointed to a small compartment near the helm. One of the agents yanked it open, spilling papers and a laminated map of the area, until he finally found a wallet holding the boat's registration and Benjamin's fishing license. Petty Officer Smith examined the documents with suspicion. His eyes scanned every line like he was searching for a mistake. "Benjamin Wilson," he read aloud, then looked up. "What exactly are you doing out here, Mr. Wilson?" "Fishing." The youngest agent, Walters, laughed out loud. "Fishing, huh? Sure, a boat like this is perfect for hiding contraband." Another agent kept searching the compartments. He knocked over the tackle box, scattering its contents across the seats. He shoved the coffee thermos, which rolled and hit the side of the boat with a dull thud. Benjamin remained standing, watching his few belongings get tossed around. His fishing rod was thrown aside. The photo of Mary, which sat on the dashboard, fell onto the damp floor. "We received an anonymous tip," said Petty Officer Smith, leaning in close to Benjamin's face. "Precise intel, illegal weapons, exact coordinates, specific time." His voice carried a quiet accusation. "Strange coincidence, you being right here, right now. Tell me the truth. Were you hired to smuggle firearms?" "I already told you, officers, I was just fishing. I'm always out here." But Smith wasn't ready to let it go. "Keep searching. Small arms could be hidden anywhere." The agents ramped up their search. They pulled up seats, checked under the console, inspected every inch. Benjamin watched in silence. His eyes didn't show anger. They didn't show frustration. Only a deep, quiet patience, as if he had seen worse. Much worse. As if he knew the truth always finds its way out, sooner or later. "All clear, Chief," Walters finally reported. To Smith, Benjamin's calmness felt suspicious. In his experience, innocent people usually get nervous during a search. They ask questions. They protest. They demand explanations. Benjamin did none of that. What Smith didn't know was that Benjamin had already been through real interrogations. The kind where enemy soldiers tried to extract information using methods no one could imagine. Now gently swaying on the waters of the Florida coast, surrounded by agents who were humiliating him without even knowing who he was. Compared to that, this search felt like a simple misunderstanding. "Let's run his ID again," Smith said, grabbing the radio and calling the base. "Command, this is Operation Neptune. I need a full background check on Benjamin Wilson, age 79. Confirm any prior records." Smith spoke into the boat's radio, reading off Benjamin's information while the other two agents finished their fruitless inspection. A voice crackled back through the radio. "Copy that, petty officer. Running database check now." Meanwhile, Benjamin kept his gaze on the sea and on the photo of Mary lying face down on the floor of the boat, until the response came. The radio crackled. The voice of the base commander, deep and sharp, cut through the silence like a lightning bolt. "Petty Officer Smith, step away from Mr. Wilson immediately and apologize." Smith frowned. "Command, say again?" "I didn't catch that." "You've boarded Captain Benjamin Wilson, a decorated veteran of the United States Navy, recipient of the Medal of Honor and the Navy Cross for acts of valor during combat operations in the Mekong Delta and Saigon, Vietnam." The radio went silent for several long seconds. Petty Officer Smith looked at Benjamin, his expression now completely changed. "Furthermore," the voice continued, "we've just been informed that another team intercepted the correct vessel. Your GPS coordinates were off. The actual target was south of your position. The boat carrying illegal weapons has been seized. 3 suspects are in custody." Smith felt his stomach drop. A simple coordinate error? They had boarded the wrong man. And not just any man, a war hero. Petty Officer Smith swallowed hard. The arrogance from just moments before dissolved into deep embarrassment. "Mr. Wilson," his voice was now respectful, almost a whisper. We had no idea." Benjamin looked at him without a word. There was no anger in his eyes, no need for revenge, only a deep stillness that made the agents even more uneasy. "Captain Wilson," Smith corrected himself, voice low. "My sincere apologies, this was a serious misunderstanding." Benjamin finally spoke. "May I have my wallet back?" Smith handed him the documents with trembling hands, then turned to his team. "Let's go, put everything back the way it was." Benjamin was alone once again. He calmly reorganized his fishing gear, checked his rod to make sure it wasn't broken, as if nothing had happened, as if humiliation and recognition were just waves passing by. The sun was beginning to set. Benjamin started the engine and headed back home. The sea wasn't right for fishing anymore. The next morning, a car pulled up at the dock behind Benjamin's house. Petty Officer Jones Smith stepped out alone. Benjamin was prepping his boat for another day of fishing. He saw Smith approaching. "Captain Wilson, may I have a word with you?" Benjamin kept checking the gear. "Yesterday was inexcusable. You know, my grandfather, he also served in Vietnam." Benjamin didn't respond. He simply nodded slightly, as if to say, "Go on." His name was Elroy Smith, corporal in the 3rd Engineer Battalion. Short guy, stubborn, always had a cigarette tucked behind his ear. "I grew up on his stories," Jones said, a soft smile in his eyes. "He made me promise, even as a kid, that if I ever served, I'd do it with respect. Yesterday, when I boarded your boat and treated you the way I did, if he were alive, he wouldn't have stood by me. I think I forgot what really matters." Benjamin stopped coiling the ropes and looked at Smith. "It was a mistake. Mistakes happen. What matters is what we do after them." The simplicity of the response hit like a punch to the gut. Smith felt the weight of those words, the quiet grace of turning humiliation into a lesson. "I don't know many people like you. How can you forgive so easily?" "Anger is heavy," Benjamin said. "I've carried too much weight in my life. Now I choose to carry only what's necessary." Benjamin finished prepping the boat. Smith helped him push it into the water. "Mind if I come along today?" "Hop in, I've got an old rod to spare. Just remember, you owe me a mangrove snapper." The engine hummed softly as the boat headed toward the usual spot. Smith watched how Benjamin handled the vessel. Precise, efficient movements, a deep understanding of the currents and winds. "How many years fishing here?" Smith asked as they dropped anchor. 22. Benjamin handed him an old, well-maintained fishing rod. "My wife used this one." Smith took it with reverence. Benjamin showed him how to prep the line, tie the hook, and choose the right bait. They cast their lines at the same time. A little over an hour later, a small fish bit Smith's line. He pulled with too much excitement. "Easy," Benjamin instructed. "Let it fight a bit, then pull slow." Smith followed the advice. The fish came up with little effort. "Let it go," Benjamin suggested. "Why?" "Too small. Needs to grow." Smith released the fish, which disappeared into the clear water. "That fish is just like us," Benjamin observed. "We all need to grow a bit more." They kept fishing and talking until the sun fully disappeared behind the horizon. That day, they didn't catch anything else, but both men knew they weren't out there for the fish. What Smith learned that day, only the sea heard. The sea that holds all secrets. If you enjoyed this story, click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story, especially for you.